Britam is now a PLC. I think we all have changed our name to a public limited company. And what we feel is a leading diversified financial services group. So a lot of us have known Britam as an insurance business, but we see ourselves as a diversified financial services group, offering product lines in life insurance, general insurance, asset management, which is a business that is here today, property and property developments, and we also have some stakes in some banks. We own about 48.8% of housing finance and 8% of equity bank. The group listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in the year 2011, and the group is present in 7 countries. We are in Kenya, we are in Uganda and Tanzania, we're in Rwanda and South Sudan, and we're in Malawi and Mozambique. So it's a Pan-African group with Pan-African ambitions. We're now managing, ladies and gentlemen, 123 billion shillings. That's quite a bit of money, with more than 70% of it being on the institutional side.
The countries in East Africa are actually doing well. There's still room for so much more growth. And as we also mentioned, we've seen a lot of mega projects being started in not only Kenya, but we've seen Uganda, we've seen Tanzania, we've seen Rwanda, all the countries in the East African community engaging in large infrastructure projects. It's not something that the respective governments in this region are not aware of. We've seen very many projects being undertaken. So we just wanted to give just a snapshot of some of the projects that are underway in East Africa. So as we can see over there are very, very many large plans over there. We can see, just taking, for example, the paved road networks. We want to improve this from around 24,000 kilometers of roads to almost 40,000 kilometers of roads by 2030. And these are common targets which we've picked from the East African Community Vision 2030. That is just one line item. So there are very, very many projects that are underway. And if we are to just even think of some of the projects that are underway, there's an East African Railway Master Plan, which is a plan by all the East African communities to connect each other through a standard gauge railway, of which Kenya is one of the parties, and this project alone is expected to cost $30 billion US, and that's just on the railway master plan itself. If we are to try and quantify all the projects, it's quite clear that first of all there are very many projects, and they're actually going to cost a lot of money. We tried to look at some of the projects back here at home, and you'll forgive us with the amount of lines in that table, but something that we realized was that if we are just to try and quantify the funding needs in terms of infrastructure just from public-private partnership projects between 2012 and 2020, in East Africa, the access to electricity is around 23%. If we compare this with other low-income African countries, it's around 43%. So there's a lot more that can be done over there. And if we look at even the cost of this electricity, it ranges 18 to 22 US cents per kilowatt hour. While in somewhere like Ethiopia, where we can benchmark, the cost there are around 5 cents per kilowatt hour. So we need to ensure that first and foremost, if we want to go into an industrialized economy, into a 24-hour economy, if you want to revive our manufacturing sector, we have to provide cheap power as one of the starting points.
About this being an election year, and what does it mean? I think even a follow-up from Adelaide on corruption. So yes, this is an election year. I think we are aware of that. But strangely enough, if you look at the general performance of the economy and the so-called business outlook, you'll note that we don't feel as if we are in an election year. As an example, the currency has not collapsed. But I think I saw a report yesterday saying that we must have the most stable currency in the world, strangely enough. Interest rates appear to be fairly stable. They have not shot through the roof. I think the level of the T-bill now is about 8.3%. If you look at the stock market, I think it is up about 15% this year, for whatever reason. So in fact, it is even better than it was in years where we've not had elections, which is quite strange. And I think there's someone who has mentioned we have elections in 40 days or something like that. I don't know if 40 was yesterday. It looks like we have elections in 40 days. So it does appear that we have the element of stability this year, and it does appear that, just based on the data and the information on the ground, that people are looking through the elections. We don't know for certain because the election hasn't come and gone. We've not gone through the event. We obviously hope that we'll go through it in a peaceful manner. But for now, in terms of the run-up to the elections, the environment actually appears to be fairly benign. Obviously, corruption is an issue globally. It is an issue in East Africa, and it is certainly an issue in Kenya. I think what we've seen, because the question was around the attractiveness of the region or of the destination relative to something like corruption, I think what we have found is that a lot of donors now are choosing to fund these projects directly. So rather than allocate the money to the central government and to the exchequer and put the money into the consolidated fund, they are now choosing to fund these projects directly, and also electing to have some level of oversight as to how the project itself is going to be executed. So I think that has been the new intervention that we've seen, more funding the project rather than actually funding the government directly. I think that's been the message that we've seen.